Scheduled meeting of December 16th. Could we all please rise for the prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. We now please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, Mr. Clerk, could we please call the roll?
Counsel Mercia.
Here.
Counsel Milanazzo.
Here.
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras.
Here.
Counsel Belanger.
Here.
Mayor Elliott.
Here.
Counsel Kennedy.
Here.
Counsel Leahy.
Here.
Counsel Martin.
Here.
9 present.
Good evening. This evening we have a number of guests, honored guests in the chamber that we'd like to make awards to, including citation. The first one is for a long-standing member and distinguished individual of this community, President Carol Cowan. President Cowan, I would kindly ask you to come to the podium. And the first individual that has something to bestow to you would be Senator Eileen Donoghue. Senator, welcome to Lowell City Council Chambers. We thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. It is really an honor to be here tonight to recognize President Carol Cowan. It's bittersweet because President Cowan has been such an important figure in our community, a partner to the city, to the state. I know I've said this before, but I must say it again. In my time representing the city in Boston, I heard nothing but high praise for President Cowan. Her leadership at Middlesex Community College not only is outstanding for Middlesex, but it is outstanding all across this Commonwealth. And she has been recognized for her excellence in leadership, innovation, and really just being a wonderful person to represent the college and deal with. So it gives me great pleasure to represent the Lowell delegation here tonight for the State House. I'm here on behalf of myself and my colleagues in the House, Representatives Tom Golden and Representative Dave Nangle. And I know I speak for former Representative Kevin Murphy, but he's here to speak as well himself. So I would like to present to you, Dr. Cowan, an official citation from the Massachusetts Senate. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Carol Cowan in recognition of your 38 years of dedicated service to Middlesex Community College and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation was duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, signed by President Murray, signed by me, and it is dated today. And I also would like to present to you, on behalf of my colleagues in the House, this is an official citation from the House of Representatives. Be it hereby known that to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Carol Cowan in recognition of her 38 outstanding years of dedication and service and commitment to Middlesex Community College, including 24 distinguished years as president. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. And this is signed and offered by Representative Nangle, Representative Golden, and signed by the Speaker of the House, Robert DeLeo. So it is my honor to present these to President Cowan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Nice to have you back in the chamber. President Cowan, can we have you back at the podium?
More speeches, huh? Thank you so much. It's been an honor to serve as Middlesex's president for the last 24. I mean, it's just started my
Excuse me,
25th
President.
year. Yes.
We're not done yet.
Okay. Oh, all right.
We have a couple of more things for you.
Okay, great.
Certainly on behalf of the city, Madam President, this evening at the subcommittee on city and university partnership, you presented so many projects that you have worked on throughout the 38 years, and it was clearly a reflection of your leadership and the progress that the school has experienced under your leadership and with you at the helm. Slide after slide, we were all taken aback by the enormous progress of Middlesex Community College. It has become such a well-recognized and renowned educational institution in the city, providing opportunity to so many Lowellians that without your efforts would not be where they are today. The bricks and mortar projects that have been an integral part of the transformation and the revitalization of the city you went through, you have been able to secure grant funding, private investments, state, local, and federal contributions, and all of this would not have been possible without you, your integrity as a professional, your passion for the school, and your desire to provide educational opportunities for students from every race, culture, and background. President, your results speak for themselves. On behalf of the city, we'd like to offer you a citation, be it hereby known to all that the city of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby offers its sincere gratitude and congratulations to President Carol Cowan upon your retirement as president of Middlesex Community College. For the past 38 years, you have dedicated to Middlesex Community College. First starting as the college as a business professor, you later served as chair of the business division and dean of administrative services. Ultimately, you went on to be the college's first female president and has served in that capacity for the last 24 years. Under your leadership, you have seen 25,000 students graduate from Middlesex. It does not go unnoticed that the growth that Middlesex Community College has seen under your leadership has put Middlesex Community College on the map. Your accomplishments will long be remembered by those who had the pleasure to serve with you during your career as an educator and leader at Middlesex Community College. On behalf of my colleagues in government and myself, I, Rodney M. Elliott, Mayor of the City of Lowell, we hereby offer you the best upon your retirement and offer you the citation given on the 16th day of December 2014. So many thanks and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And lastly, Madam President, as a token of appreciation, we wanted to bestow on you a gift that would commemorate and recognize your efforts. You have left the city and the college in wonderful shape. You've actually outlined more projects that are forthcoming in the future years, and that is a true sign of a leader, leaving projects in the pipeline for the future. On behalf of a grateful city, we honor you with this token of our appreciation. For all my colleagues, this is a weaving shuttle, and we think it's appropriate as a symbolic token. This device was used in many, if not most, of the mills throughout the city. And it is a device used in a loom for passing and shooting the weave thread through the shed from one side to the next. I just learned this, I have to admit. But we think it's appropriate because of all the projects that you have created. It seems going back and forth, in and out of the loom, creating textile is a legacy of all the projects you have left to this city. We thank you on behalf of a grateful city. Many thanks.
Thank you. I think it's okay for me to say thank you now, is that right? I do appreciate all of this wonderful recognition. I accept it on behalf of the entire college. I've been honored to lead an outstanding institution and really build an outstanding institution over the past 25 years serving as president. I really know the future is very bright for Middlesex and bright for the residents and students that come to our college from Lowell. When we moved into Lowell, we moved in with 350 students back in 1986 at the Wanalancet Mills. Today, we have about 7,000 students coming to our Lowell campus, another 7,000 in our Bedford campus. We're one of the largest community colleges in the state. If you count our credit and non-credit, we are the largest. Bunker Hill outpaces us on the credit side. But we have grown because of the partnerships that we've created with all of you. We know that this is not a job for one person. This is a job that really requires working relationships with everybody. So it's with deep appreciation to, first of all, our delegation, Senator Donahue, Representative Murphy, and the others. I thank you so much because we are state institutions. We don't do this work alone. We have to work in partnership. And also to the city, who has always been there for us. You've always supported the work that we're doing, and I suspect that you'll continue to do that. We've got these great projects going on in the city. We're very proud of the work that we've done with the rehabilitation of historic buildings and older buildings in the city. We don't take on easy projects at our college. They're all difficult. And they're all expensive, but we've managed through it all, and I suspect that will continue to happen as well. So it's with honor that I accept all your recognition and this wonderful spindle. My mother was a seamstress and worked at David H. Smith in Lynn for her whole working life, and so the whole textile metaphor rings solid with me and my upbringing, so I thank you for that. And my best to all of you as you continue to lead this city, and know that Middlesex will be a partner with you going into the future. So thanks so much to all of you.
Thank you, President. Chair would like to recognize Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. I too would like to say a few words about Dr. Cowan. If asked to speak, I would have had at least 2 or 3 hours of stories to talk about with Dr. Cowan. But I had an opportunity to talk to former Superintendent George Sapasaris tonight. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Dr. Cowan, for myself as the former headmaster, and for George Sapasaris, who could not be here tonight. From the time you became president of Middlesex, you have developed an outstanding partnership with the college and our school system. As an example, some of the issues that George and I talked about tonight: professional development for our teaching staff. You also helped develop a program for our special ed aides to allow them to take courses where they eventually could be teachers in the Lowell school system. We also had an alternative program, as you know, to help dropouts, to prevent the dropout program from expanding or dropouts increasing. And you worked with us and you developed a charter school, which is probably one of the best in the country to deal with dropouts and those issues. During those years, you've had, working with us, the Dean of the Lowell campus, Molly Sheehy, and Jay Linehan, who helped to develop many of the programs that you spoke about tonight. And now you've left us, where Superintendent Franco and the Dean of the Lowell campus, Colleen Cox, are now continuing your work and your effort. So really, as a city council, but really truly as the former headmaster of Lowell High School, I want to take this time to thank your efforts to help the young people of Lowell. You've helped them. You're helping to ensure that our students, our children, have a future. Thank you, Dr. Cowan.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. President Cowan, I am so impressed by the legacy that you leave behind. Quite a magnificent and incredible legacy that shone a beacon at Kearney Square, refurbishing old historic buildings such as the Federal Building to the Nesmith House building, which was in dilapidated condition, made it a state-of-the-art meeting place where many functions have taken place, beautified neighborhoods, along with your future plans to take the Boston and Maine Railroad, which is the old Rialto building, and turn it into a state-of-the-art performing center, theater, dance, art. You have done an incredible job. You have made me so proud to be a woman, because I am so tremendously proud of you. We will miss you tremendously. And I've said it before, you're only as good as those you surround yourself with. You have surrounded yourself with magnificent people. You knew what you were doing, and you shine so bright. And I'm so very proud to have served with you, to have spoken at your graduation as mayor. You have made me so proud. You have been secretly a mentor to me, seeing how you survived and led. You're a leader, and we want to be able to be calling you in the future by Skype or whatever. We won't call you back from retirement, but thank you so much. We're very proud of you. Thank you.
Again, Madam President, thank you so much. You know that you'll be hearing from us at some point in time, and again, many thanks.
My best to you.
Happy holidays. Thank you. Move on to the next item on the agenda. We have a citation recognizing Building Blocks Prep for their assistance with the decorations for City Hall Holiday Open House. And it was a student, so if we could have the representatives from Building Blocks, please come forward. On behalf of the city, the work that the young children did really made quite an impression during the holiday open house. And we want to let the people at home know that working with the water department, it was the students at Building Blocks that actually did the work. And we think it's admirable. Again, it's caught the attention of everyone coming up on the second floor, going by my office, the manager's office, anyone really coming into City Hall. So on behalf of the city, we have a citation, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we'd like to offer our gratitude and our congratulations to the students of Building Blocks Prep for your exceptional artwork. The City of Lowell, the Water Department, contacted Building Blocks Prep with the special request to help decorate the second floor of City Hall for the open house, holiday open house. Director and owner Carrie Fantasia, along with her staff, brainstormed the idea. The 3- and 4-year-olds, comprising the 4 classrooms at Building Blocks, transformed the ideas into artwork like no other in City Hall. Your artwork caused many visitors to stop on the second floor and visit the water department's table of refreshments. We thought that was a good hook because you did win an award at the open house. As a result, the water department got best hosted in the area. On behalf of the city, I, Rodney M. Elliott, the mayor, we congratulate you on a job well done and your students, and we thank you for your partnership with the city to make this an extra special event given on the 16th day of December by myself and my colleagues in government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was an honor for us to work with the water department, and they're incredible. I have to thank my wonderful staff, and most of all, the incredible kids at Building Blocks Prep, because they were just so excited, and when they came here to see all of their stuff at City Hall, they were just amazed. So it was an honor, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Kate. Now, the next item on the agenda, we have presentation of awards from the City Lights Parade. And the young gentlemen have been standing at attention and very well behaved. A credit to you and your leaders and your troops. So without further ado, could we have the first winners that we would like to recognize? come to the podium. And you won the Mayor's Award. Can we all come around? This is your chance to be on television, young man. Come right around that podium.
All the way around?
All the way around, so everybody can see. That camera will focus on that podium, and you will all be on television. You can wave if you want. Wave to this camera right up there. So on behalf of the city, we do want to bring you forward. We have the award you were awarded. This is Boy Scout Troop number 7 and Cub Scout Pack 7 from St. Rita's Parish. You did great work, and all the time and effort. You spent all night, the night before and before that, planning, and it was just amazing. Can we have one of the leader or somebody want to describe the float for the people at home? Oh, wonderful. We have a volunteer. Can you just give us your name?
You can introduce yourself as Jake Hodgson. I'm Jake Hodgson.
And what was your float?
It was a gingerbread house,
Yes? And it was decorated with?
candy canes and lollipops and gingerbread men. And then we took a little toy house and changed it into a gingerbread house with cardboard.
And you put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it, and there were
Yeah.
lights, and what else?
There was these little candies. We had fake snow.
And that is absolutely fabulous. You did a good job coming up to the podium unannounced. Thank you so much to both your leaders and to all of you who put such great effort into the float. It was worthy an award, so congratulations, and we're going to be looking for your float next year again.
My name is David Langley. I'm the Assistant Scoutmaster for Cub Scout Pack 7. On behalf of the pack and the troop, I'd like to thank you, and we will take the opportunity to impress you again next year. I'd also like to thank some of the adult leadership who assisted with this, starting with Cindy and Mike Reardon, who organized everything with the city, and Sean and Denise Hodgson, who graciously allowed us the use of their driveway and their tools to assemble the float. And lastly, my wife Renee, who took an idea that I had and took a bunch of ideas that everybody brought together and exploded into the float that we presented this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate it. The second award was awarded by the city manager. It's a City Manager's Community Organization Award, and it's awarded to the Lowell High School Dances, Choir, and Drama Club. It was again, a wonderful float, very festive, and a lot of time and effort was put into it. So if you could, Mr. Dakota and the students, Mr. Headmaster is here, I believe. Please, if everyone could please come forward, we would like to award you the City Manager's Community Organization Award for the City Lights Parade 2014. Congratulations.
I really wish I could take credit for all of the work that was done, but the moms who are here tonight were the ones who did the yeoman's part of work for that float. And we were truly being self-serving with the float. We were trying to advertise the fact that we are putting on Beauty and the Beast this spring, and we'd like to make sure that you're all there, because it's going to be a great show.
Well, Mr. Dakota, your strategy worked because you won the award and you were able to come here and let folks at home know to come and see you. When does it start?
It'll be March 27th and 28th.
Excellent.
And 29th.
At the high school?
At the high school.
Excellent. Thank
Yep.
you so much. Mr. Headmaster, you want to say a few words? Mr. Martin?
Oh, well, yes, we do. We have our winter concert this Friday as well, and at the high school. That's going to feature the concert band, the show choir, the string ensemble, and the concert chorus.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Students want to say a few words? No.
Hi, my name is Daisy. I am co-student director of the Lowell High School Sound Impression Show Choir, and I am so grateful to have been to have an experience like this. It opens your eyes to the world.
Well, great. Thank you so much. You did a wonderful job. The float and even the participation all the way through the parade, everybody was very active, and so it was great. Great. Thank you so much. And we'll look forward to you next year as well. Thank you, Mr. Headmaster, Mr. DePaul. Last but certainly not least, we have a regular recipient, if you will, and rightfully so, the most festive this year. Absolutely outstanding work. I can't begin to describe it. I'd like to have the individuals from the Greater Lowell Technical High School come and describe it. It was a replica of the boot mills with the train, and it had smokestack and simulated smoke. It was fabulous. There's nothing else to describe. So on behalf of the city, we'd like to award you the most festive award for the City Lights Parade 2014.
Thank you.
I want to thank Mayor Elliott and the City of Lowell for this award. This is incredible. You guys probably understand how much it means to these kids. They put a lot of hard work into it, and there's really nothing else to say as far as the satisfaction that they get out of it. And many of the students went to the parade, and just seeing the faces on the little kids, they came in the next day and they were just amazed at how much people loved it, and it definitely was a life changer for many of the students. And I just want to say thank you, and it's greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Mayor Elliott, councilors, and citizens of Lowell. Standing here, we have Melina Lucio. She's from P&D. We have carpentry student David Poitras over here. Electrical student Autumn Caldwell. Did a lot of the electrical work on the float. And plumbing student Mike LeBlanc. And this was Mr. Maslowski, our carpentry instructor, and George Reynolds, our P&D instructor. And you're looking at a group of people that worked very hard on the float, and we're very happy to perform this service for the City of Lights Parade every year. Myself, being a carpentry instructor, I'm Dan Hamill, the construction cluster supervisor now, but I have to tell you that I rode the trucks, and there's nothing like the smiles and the excitement in the eyes of all the kids and the spectators when you're driving through the city on a nicely done float. And the people that preceded us too also, we're just happy to be a part of it, and we look forward to it next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your participation and all the effort that you do put into it. Councilor Mercia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You think the excitement from the kids? What about the excitement from the adults? I go every year just so I specifically can see what your students accomplished again. And you never cease to amaze me that it's like better each year. It's unbelievable. So it's a credit to that school and all the training that they got to see a magnificent work of art just take part in a parade. So it's not about the kids either. It's the adults. My mouth was hanging open. It was just amazing. So congratulations. I can't forget that float. It was just great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great evening. Moving on to the next item of the agenda. Thank you, members, for your patience on those awards. We want to get them in before the holiday season. We have minutes from the City Council meeting, December 9th. We have minutes from the Arts and Culture Subcommittee on December 9th as well. We have minutes from the Transportation Subcommittee on December 9th as well. And lastly, minutes from the Neighborhood Subcommittee on December 11th. Entertain a motion to approve by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion passes. The minutes are adopted. Believe it or not, it is a little after 7 o'clock, so we will move into the public hearing. We have a couple of public hearings this evening, several. First one is a general public hearing, is an ordinance to create a new grant-funded position, which is a transportation project manager. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading, the second reading by, excuse me, Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in-city councils and ordinance. An ordinance creating one full-time position of transportation projects manager and the salary thereof in the Department of Planning and Development. We now proceed to open the public hearing. Open this portion of the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. In favor? In favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. We will now open up this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, we will now close that portion of the hearing for those wishing to speak in opposition. What is the wish of the body? Entertain a motion to approve by Council Martin, seconded by Council Leahy. Further discussion? Roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
We have another public hearing, order taking an acceptance on Decatur Avenue. That public hearing has been withdrawn. We'll move on to the next vote. Mr. Manager, do you have anything to add, or Madam Solicitor, on that withdrawal?
Yes, what we're doing is we're working with a global project at the area, and it includes not only the taking of this roadway for our combined sewer overflow issue, but also we need to get easements from the University of Massachusetts in Lowell, and they have to get approvals from us to expand their parking there. So we're trying to work out a global arrangement where we do take care of all of those issues in one setting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager. Further questions? Okay, so that motion will be withdrawn. Moving on to the next public hearing is a vote. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, that motion carries. This is a public hearing to adopt the minimum residential factor for fiscal year 2015. Now open up this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In the public, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Now open up this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? In opposition, seeing none, we will close that portion of the public hearing. Mr. Manager?
Yes, we have a brief presentation on the MRF and what it calls for the tax rate for the fiscal year 15. I'd ask CFO Connor Baldwin, who is here to give that brief presentation. We have Sue LeMay from the Assessor's Office available for any questions afterwards, and our financial consultant, Bob Healy.
Mr. Baldwin?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the City Council, this brief presentation is relative to the vote before the City Council this evening to approve the minimum residential factor. The city will be sending out the third quarter actual tax bills later this month. So the presentation is intended as an informational guide to the council and to the viewers at home relative to the tax rate and how it is set within the municipality. Within the fiscal 2015 budget, the city had a number of challenges to overcome, including a $3 million increase in our pension assessment, contractually obligated salary increases for union employees, meeting our net school spending requirement, and absorbing a $500,000 snow and ice deficit relative to the terrible winter we all faced last year. These expenses resulted in a proposed 3.5% increase in the tax levy. This process of voting on the MRF and the subsequent submission of the tax rate for approval by the Bureau of Accounts is all relative to the approved FY15 spending plan voted on in June. So here's a little bit about what the MRF is. Massachusetts law allows for a shift of the tax burden from the residential and open space classes of property to the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes. The MRF, established by the Commissioner of Revenue, is used to make certain that the shift from the tax burden complies with the law. The factor calculated this year, included in the vote proposed to the city by the city manager to the council this evening, is 0.834546. And this factor represents the maximum shift away from the residential class. This next slide details a history of both the residential and the CIP tax rates, as well as a number of single-family homes in Lowell and both the average single-family home value as well as the average single-family tax bill. The projected actual tax rate for fiscal year 2015 is up our $15.48 per $1,000 of assessed value for residential and $32.46 per $1,000 of value in the CIP class. Also listed on the far right column on the slide shown on the screen is a hypothetical figure of what Lowell's tax rate would be if there were not a split rate. As you can see, the Lowell City Council has approved the maximum shift allowable each year going back to the introduction of the split rate in 1984. This next slide details a history of the city's tax levy, as well as the change in the total value of each year's figures for new growth. Just for the edification of the viewers at home that may not be familiar, new growth is the additional tax revenue generated by new construction, renovations, and other increases in the property tax base during a calendar year. It is worth noting that in the city manager's proposed FY15 budget, an aggressive figure of $2.5 million was projected for new growth this year. As you can see on the slide, the Department of Revenue recently approved our new growth at $3.17 million. This next slide highlights the changes this year over last year in the average single-family tax bill and the rates for the residential and the CIP classes for fiscal 14 and fiscal 15 for comparison purposes. While the increase in the tax levy was approved at 3.5%, the increase in the year-over-year tax rate is only increasing by 2.25%, thanks in large part to the new growth that I just spoke about. Here we have the major highlights and the changes this year. The average single-family value has increased by $8,638 in FY15, resulting in an increase in the average tax bill of $207.22. The proposed rate for residential classes will increase by 34 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. The increase for the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes will increase by 71 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. Next, we have here a random sampling of residential properties throughout the city, the change in value, and the potential change in tax bills. And you can see from the different properties that some values have increased, some have decreased, and the corresponding tax bills for each property. Finally, here is a comparison of Lowell's proposed fiscal 15 rates as compared with our surrounding communities in the Merrimack Valley. As you can see by the table on this slide, the average single-family tax bill in Lowell is the second lowest in the area. So with that, that ends the presentation. As the manager said, our Chief Assessor, Sue LeMay, and Financial Consultant, Bob Healy, are here with us tonight if there are any questions from the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Questions from the members of council? Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I did notice, which seemed encouraging, new growth. I believe projected, my memory serves me right, was 2.5 million. And did I just see 3.7 million in that range?
Mr. Manager?
That's excellent to notice that, and that's a great thing. It's a credit to Sue LeMay and her staff that we originally anticipated $2.5 million in new growth, and we had 3.17 in new growth, and that's due to their diligent efforts, especially in the personal property tax area. I think it's a great sign also for the city of Lowell that we have new growth in the city and that it's rising. It's a good economic indication for us.
Outstanding, Mr. Manager. Thank you very much. And I thought at the time 2.5 was a little on the high side, and we've exceeded that by $600,000. So congratulations to Chief Assessor Susan LeMay. Well done on your diligence. That's great to see. Thank you very much.
Ms. LeMay, anything to add? Okay, further questions on Council Kennedy?
Why did the Department of Revenue, why was it increased? Do we know specifically what made that happen?
Ms. LeMay?
Are we talking about the growth?
Yeah.
It was a mixture of many things, actually, and it was surprising to me as well. But we had 25 land revisions this year that consisted of like 76 different parcels. There were 15 exempt properties that came on the tax rolls. There were 13 new single-family homes that were built that came on the tax rolls this year, and they weren't the $100,000 homes. They were in the $350,000, $375,000 range. It was a mixture of those things. There were 36 new condominiums, for example, brand new condominiums that were built, and they were in between the $300,000 and $400,000 range. And we had, I think it was around 70 condominium conversions. It was all those types of things that just happened to hit this year alone, including. We've done our own cyclical inspections now for the last 4 or 5 years in-house. And when we do those cyclical inspections, we go out and we hit it all at once. We pick up the cyclical, we hit the any sales verifications, but we do it all in-house. But one of the biggest things was our personal property, and we picked up over 70 brand-new businesses that opened up that we caught this year alone, and some of them were quite large, and there were many additions, and it was all this year that we picked those up. So it was surprising to us, but what we found is that people are actually putting additions on properties again, and it was almost like it was a repeat of 2005, which is a good thing because it seems like the economy is starting to come back into Lowell, and it's coming up a little bit.
Well, the tax exempt properties, you said there were 15?
There were 15 that came onto the tax rolls this year, yes.
Can you recall a couple of examples of that? What were those? Were they, how does that happen? How does it happen that you're tax exempt and then all of a sudden you're back on the tax roll?
Well, I can recall one of them alone that was very large, and that was a 121A that came back onto the tax rolls. And there were some churches that had sold and came back onto the tax rolls. It's things like that.
Okay. I guess, I understand everything that you said, but I guess what I'm missing is when we estimated what the new growth would be, we were lower. And so did we miss, why didn't we come up with the same figure that the state came up with for new growth? I guess that's my question. In other words, we do that every year. We come up with an estimate, right? And our estimate was about 2.5, but now we're up to almost 3.2. So how does that happen that they come up with a higher figure than we do? Is there something that we should be doing differently when we estimate new growth?
The state doesn't come up with an estimate. We do. And whenever the city manager is going to ask me for an estimate in March, I'm always going to come in low, because at that point, I have no idea what is out there to be picked up. I'm going to always give you a low figure in March and hope that I'm going to come in higher. I don't want to give you a higher number and have you bank on that for a budget. I would rather give you a low number and come in higher. I'm always going to give you a conservative number.
All right, thank you. I misunderstood. So basically, this is a figure later on when you have a better view of the whole situation.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Further questions, discussion? Seeing none. Motion to approve by Council Rourke, second by Council Samaras. Roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanja.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion passes. Thank you. That concludes the public hearings for this evening, so we will revert back to the original agenda. Moving back to section under the city clerk, we have 2.2. There was a vote to cancel the meeting of the December 23rd and the 30th. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Council Martin, second by Council Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council is a vote to cancel the City Council meetings of December 23rd, 2014, and December 30th, 2014. What is the wish of the body? Entertain a motion to approve by Council Mercia, second by Council Milonazo. Roll call.
Council Mercia.
Of course.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanja.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
No.
Council
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion passes. We went through general public hearing, section 3. We'll move on to section 4. We have communications from the city manager. We have motion responses, A through E. Questions on motion responses? See, Council O'Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a couple of questions for Mr. Wallenstein, if you have a quick second, regarding the recycling for the city. What's the difference between the cost between recycling and waste for Lowell?
Thank you for having me this evening, and great question. One of the things I'd like to remind you is that we pay $74 per ton to dispose of trash, and at this time there is no cost for an equivalent ton of recycling, aside from the collection, the door-to-door collection we provide. So it's a $74 difference between producing that as trash or as recycling.
And how long has Lowell been recycling for?
Well, I've been here for 8.5 years, and it's probably been 10 years before that we had the green tubs at the curbside.
So since you started and then until today, do you see a noticeable difference in the amount of recycling that Lowell does do?
Absolutely. Originally, we were at about 7% as a curbside recycling rate, and now we're in the mid-20s.
And how does that compare to other cities in the Merrimack Valley?
It's similar to comparing tax rates. There's just so many different calculations that go on. For cities similar to Lowell, in size and population demographics, we're holding our own. We could probably be better into the mid-low 30s, so we still have some distance to go.
So is that attainable, in your opinion?
Absolutely.
What needs to be done in the future to get that number to?
Outreach, education, enforcement, those are the big components.
Okay, and then the last thing is, on your response, it says that one option may be to allow residents to have an extra cot. It says a suggested price. Is there a price set right now?
At this time, Schedule 150 in the Code of Ordinances does not have a price for a recycling cart only. We do have a price if you wish to purchase additional use of city trash, and that's $265 a year, which comes with one trash and one recycling. But in this case, if folks are just interested in having extra recycling volume, then we would have to go back to the ordinance and allow one extra recycling cart per household and into Chapter 150 to amend it to include a fee for only a recycling cart.
Okay, so what's this, says the suggested fee to be set at $50 per year? What does that pertain? Does that pertain to recycling?
That would be an additional 26 weeks of collection. Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Manager, maybe something you could look into as far as pricing. You know, I think the lower the better as far as, you know, people that do want to recycle or do recycle more often than others. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wallenstein.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Gunther. Mr. Wallenstein, do you have a way to monitor a second cart for recycling?
Once we implement a fee, then in Munis we'll have a way to enter that cart serial number that tracks along with the fee, so that if you're issued a trash or recycling and now an additional recycling, at some point if the property changes hands, then we'll know that at the last water meter reading and we'll be able to recover our equipment.
Which I think is a better way than to add a second collection for recycling and add 26 more weeks. Wouldn't a second cart to those probably small amount of numbers that over recycle and it goes over, so that would probably be a better way to do it?
Absolutely. I also invite residents to use the drop-off that we have at the Department of Public Works. If you're uncertain about spending $50 a year for an additional recycling cart, we're open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, for drop-off of the same material at DPW.
Do you have many calls where you work from people that need more to recycle more?
I would say in the last year, and especially since this motion came forward, maybe half a dozen people that would be interested, and certainly once we make it public, we'll have more takers.
Did these people know that they could drop off?
We make that clear, and there's a link on our website.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All set, Council? Council Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council Belanger.
Do you know what is the total tonnage of recyclables that we send out a year? Do you know what that number is?
Yeah, it's about 5,000 tons. Last year we closed out at just over 4,200. So at the end of the 12 months, we'll have about 5,300 tons of recyclable material.
5,300?
Yep.
Annually for the latest.
This is our first year with single stream recycling, so this is the first time we show a big bump. Absolutely.
Okay, how many tons of trash?
We should close out the year at about 25,000.
Okay. You always hear that Worcester does the best. And is there a reason for that? And do you think that's true? Do you think that they're...
Well, as I mentioned, and I'm sure the analysts and the number crunchers will tell you there's different ways to present it. Worcester is a different animal in that they have a strict pay-as-you-throw. So every resident who produces trash starts with a $2 trash bag. So if you have an incentive early on to separate your recyclables, in Lowell's system, we provide 68 gallons of trash before you really have to decide that the extra will go into the recycling. Worcester also has and maintains 2 drop-off areas for tires and appliances and yard waste, and they count that in their diversion numbers. So their 50% includes all of that stuff, and of course we don't have a drop-off center, so we would be low by that percent.
Okay. And do you have an idea of how, what the average, like that big green thing, you don't know if it's full or half full or quarter full or whatever it would be. Do you have you done a survey, or do you have an average, do you have an idea of what the average residential person is putting out there? Is it half full?
We don't have a specific survey of stop by stop. I can tell you that, and it's mentioned in the reply to the motion, that Waste Management in their audits has found 10 to 15% contamination, and we're starting to notice that in the street. Also, when you're presented with an extra 96-gallon container, nobody's looking in the lid, so it ends up with food waste and yard waste and hazardous waste. So I don't want to say that our tonnage is inflated, but it includes some of that contamination. So as I mentioned in Councilor Rourke's remarks, that we need to do better at outreach and education to make sure that the material that we're collecting and counting as recyclable is actually getting recycled. Otherwise, we pay for the tonnage as it passes through the sorting facility.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Council. Council Belanger, then Council Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I would like to comment on the same response that, as a member of the council representative to NEMCOG, we had a nice seminar, if you will, on recycling and where the industry's going, headed, and Lowell is among one of the top leaders in recycling among gateway cities. Of cities of this size, at 24%, we should be very, very happy. Most gateway cities to our size are well under 20. And Worcester, as Councilor Kennedy mentioned, has a different formula, how they figure it out. So each cities and towns are a little different. But I'm not saying they're better or worse than us, but I know Lowell ranks among the highest in gateway cities in the Commonwealth. So I think we're doing great. We're making great strides. More needs to be done as far as outreach, as Gunther has mentioned. But I think we're gaining every year. We're gaining and gaining. And I think he and his department is doing a fantastic job. So much needs to be done again. But a conversation that does need to come up sooner rather than later is organics, which is food waste. I know it's something that no one's going to look forward to, but it's something where the industry is headed. Landfills are full. There's literally, in 5 years, there's going to be no more landfills in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So it's going to cost a lot of money to dispose of this. And some cities and towns in the country are already headed in this direction. For instance, if you stay at a bed and breakfast in San Francisco, California, you cannot throw food waste in your hotel room barrel. The business will be fined. So, and it has to be separate. Compost and organics has to be separate from your trash. So some cities and towns throughout the country are already doing this. We're at least 3 to 5 years away from facilities that can recycle organics. But nonetheless, since we are doing so good in this department, I think it's a conversation that should come up sometime in the near future. So I just want to bring that to light. But I think we're doing fantastic. But let's keep it going. I think we can do even better. So I just want to congratulate Gunther and his department to what we've achieved to this point. But again, this is a very nice number to have for a city of our size. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, Council. Council Leahy?
Thank you.
Kennedy.
I just had a quick question for Gunther. You know what I've noticed? Some people put their recycling in a white plastic bag and then they throw it in. Is that trouble for us too?
We had a presentation recently and asked the material recycling facility what the top 5 contaminants are. Plastic bags, plastic bags, plastic bags. You get the idea. Plastic bags are not only a contaminant, but it messes with the gears. So we do want all of the material loose. No plastic bags, just bottles,
We have
cans.
to try to re-educate people on that, because I notice a lot of that, people collecting them and then
So
putting
no
bags
plastic
of
bags would be
recycling.
very helpful.
Yeah, okay, but I also want to just say that I think the department, under your leadership, is doing a great job, and, I mean, I've noticed the recycling going through the roof lately, so congratulations.
Was one of those complaints from 87 Glenwood on plastic bags in the recycling? Council Kennedy?
I just wanted to get a clarification. You said it was 25,000 tons of trash, plus 5,300 in recyclables? So there's 30,300 basically total?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And the state allows us to also use the tonnage of yard waste because it's separate from the trash, it's collected curbside, and it goes to a new facility, and that's also about 4,200 tons. So if you add recycling and yard waste,
That's how you get up to
then
that
we'd actually
percentage.
boost up higher to the high 30s, which is included in Worcester's number.
Okay, thanks.
Council Rourke, then Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. So just taking the 25,000 tons of recyclables at $74 a ton the city saves, to $1.85 million. And if you add in what you talked about earlier, then the city actually saves well over $2 million a year by recycling.
By making sure that residents set out into 3 categories, and we have 52 weeks of trash pickup, 26 weeks of recycling pickup, and 39 weeks of yard waste pickup. You're correct. We save about $2 million in making sure it doesn't go out as trash.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. I think this motion has created a good conversation as to the importance of this recycling. Gunther, what you basically stated, though, is that there probably is a need for a lot stronger training program or program to ensure that our citizens understand their responsibilities. Is it possible through the city manager to get some type of report as to what type of training program that might come out of your department to suggest that we as a city council can help facilitate?
I'm sorry. Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just following up on Council Samaras' question about training, do we still have recycling coordinators in our schools? I know that years ago we had recycling coordinators, and
That's a voluntary position. Usually, it could be a math teacher, it could be a kindergarten teacher that steps forward and provides that assistance. We do have a grant application with the Department of Environmental Protection, and should we be awarded those funds, then we'll try to create a part-time recycling outreach. And there are 41 schools in the jurisdiction, including the vocational school, so we'll try to get through all of them so that they maximize their output as recycling.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Wallenstein. As always, very informative. We appreciate your coming down tonight. Further questions on motion responses? Councilor Samaras?
Thank you. In regard to the motion to support the mandate imprisonment legislation, I want to thank the city manager for the letter to the delegation to support District Attorney Ryan's request to have imprisonment for those who might be caught shooting at a building. As you know, shots fired in the city of Lowell has caused a lot of people to be concerned and upset. And this will continue to happen unless strong legislation is made to prevent this. So I want to thank the city manager for his quick action in developing this letter to address this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. There's a little bit of feedback coming back through the mics. Okay. Just wanted to let them know. Further discussion on motion responses? Seeing none, entertain a motion to accept. Councilor Leahy?
I just, on D, I just want to thank the administration for the work on the new contract that we'll approve tonight for the Rogers Street agreement with G38.
Okay, that's coming, yes.
Yep,
Mr. Manager, that's coming forward.
Actually, thanks should go to you, Councilor Leahy. You're the one who called our attention to this issue, and as a result of it, that contract had actually expired, and we weren't maximizing the income that we could in that agreement. So the new agreement that we have before you for vote this evening is going to increase the number of spaces to not more than $100. I strike that, not more than 100 cars, and it's going to be at $36 per space rather than $32, and we're going to get a monthly fee of $3,600 rather than having to go out and count the cars every day that are being parked there. So it's a much better agreement, and I thank you for calling it to our attention.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on motion responses? Seeing none, motion to approve by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. In the opposed, the motion responses are accepted and placed on file. Moving on to section number 5, we have votes from the city manager. The first vote is in order to transfer $146,673 to cover the FY14 deficit in the Lowell Memorial Auditorium Enterprise Fund. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Leahy, second by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council as a vote to order the transfer of $146,673 to cover FY14 deficit in the Lowell Memorial Auditorium Enterprise Fund. What is the wish of the body? Move to approve by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Belanger. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager, Mr. Manager, we're taking this money and transferring it from your contingency account. How much do you have in your contingency account?
Mr. Manager?
295,000 was what we began with. So there's 148,327 is remaining according to Mr. Baldwin.
So in the future, when we transfer any money out of that account, could we have like a ledger that says the balance is, okay, thank you.
Absolutely. The reason we did this is so it's not added to the tax levy and increases the taxes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Further questions on this this order, this transfer? Motion to approve has been made. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Nine yeas.
9 yeas, motion passes. Moving on to another vote by the city manager. We have a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with 495 Chrysler Jeep Dodge Incorporated. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor O'Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading is by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts City of Lowell, in City Council is a vote to authorize the city manager to enter into a license agreement with 495 Chrysler Jeep Dodge Incorporated to use a portion of premises located at 758 Rogers Street, commonly known as the parking lot at Martin Alumni Athletic Complex on Rogers Street and the City of Lowell for vehicle storage. Most questions on this? Entertain a motion to approve by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Kennedy. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Mr. Mayor?
8 yeas.
8 yeas, one absent. Council Belanger?
I'm sorry, I do have a question on this vote. It's a very nice piece of negotiating, Mr. Manager. It's good, it's a tidy sum of money nonetheless for a property that normally would sit dormant, but where is this money going? Is it going towards the Colley Stadium Fund or the general fund, or?
Thank
The
you.
manager?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, although we cannot earmark funds to a particular cause, you have my commitment that we will take this money and put it towards the complex.
Thank you, that's great, thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Vote's already been taken. Moving on to next item under votes from the city manager, we have a vote to authorize the city manager to execute an MOU between Greater Lowell Technical High School and the city regarding installation of meter reading equipment. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. That motion carries. Second reading by title is Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Lowell, and the City Council is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between Greater Lowell Technical High School and the city for the installation of meter reading equipment. What is the wish of the body? Move to approve by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Mercia. On the motion?
Yes,
Council
thank
Mercia?
you, Mr. Mayor. Could you explain this just a little bit for the viewing public?
Mr. Manager?
Yes, we're installing a new meter reading process in the city of Lowell. And no longer are you going to need a meter reader to go to your individual house to read the meter. It's going to be read from dishes and other devices. But this is a device that will be going on the Voc School that will be able to read certain meters in that area of the city. And East Chelmsford will read meters from that part of the city. So it's a way to collect the data from the meters. And they're kind enough to allow us to put these discs on their property.
So will the discs at the Voc School reach Belvedere?
No.
So what's
Why don't I call Mr. Gitcher up, and he'll be able to tell you how Belvedere is read.
Mr. Gitcher, want to come up and explain or elaborate a little bit?
As the manager just stated, it's basically we're putting collectors in all areas of the city. It's these 5 next ones will be a redundancy package to the already existing 5. There's one on the fire station, Oakland Fire Station over in Belvedere right now currently.
That's good, thank you. I don't want any estimates, so that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further questions? Mr. Getchia, the manager? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve. Was made and seconded. Made by Counsel Mercia, seconded by Counsel Leahy. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas is one more vote under vote to the city manager this evening. The vote is to authorize the city manager to execute a MOU with the Chelmsford Water District regarding installation of meter reading equipment. Second reading will be by title. I entertain a motion to waive the full reading, by Counsel Martin, seconded by Counsel Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell and City Council is the vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between East Chelmsford Water District and the City of Lowell for the installation of meter reading equipment. Questions? Motion to approve by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Rourke. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
There is, entertain a motion to suspend the rules to bring in a gift from Comcast for $500 that's received every year for expenses and costs associated with the holiday reception. Motion to suspend by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, the motion carries. There is a document on your desk relative to this. First reading by title is Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council is a vote to authorize the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift of $500 from Comcast to be used for costs and expenses associated with the holiday reception. This is a mayor's holiday reception party. It's going to go into the general fund to defray all the expenses. Motion to waive the full reading, the second reading by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. The second reading will be by title. City of Lowell in City Council is a vote. Authorize the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift of $500 from Comcast to be used for costs associated with the holiday City Hall Mayor's holiday reception party. Entertain a motion to approve by Councilor Leahy, seconded by Councilor Martin. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. We move on to the next section of the agenda. We have orders from the city manager. The first order is to dedicate Lowell Water Utility Intake Center in honor of Thomas S. Golden, Sr. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Samaras, second by Councilor Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Second reading by title. City of Lowell and City Council is in order, designating the Lowell Water Utility Intake Center in the City of Lowell in honor of Thomas S. Golden, Sr. Motion to approve by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
It's 9 yeas.
9 yeas. Motion passes. Moving on to item or section 7 of the agenda. We have ordinances from the city manager. First ordinance is to create one public safety research and planning director full-time. It's a grant-funded salary in the Lowell Police Department to be used for Lowell Police Department and the Lowell Fire Department. This needs to go to a public hearing. Entertain a motion to send to a public hearing on January 6th at 7 p.m. by Councilor Belanger, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll set a public hearing for January 6th. Moving on to the next ordinance from the city manager. We have an ordinance to amend Chapter 243-23, Section 1, titled Sidewalk Signs and/or Sandwich Boards. This also has to go to be referred to a public hearing. I'd like to set a public hearing on January 6th, again at 7 p.m. Motion to approve, set a public hearing by Councilor Samaras, seconded by Councilor Rourke. On the motion, Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. I want to thank the City Solicitor's Office for the work done on this ordinance. The only question I have, sometimes when the city is in a position to create an ordinance, sometimes we seem to complicate issues. But this is a lot of work has been done in the sign ordinance, and I appreciate that. But there's a question here, or it talks about a user obtaining and maintaining liability insurance. And I think sometimes for the small business person, that's, what else are you doing to me? Why is this necessary? So, I understand the purpose of this and the reason for it, but could the city manager or the city solicitor give us an answer?
Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Through you to the mayor. First of all, we require liability insurance for other reasons, like if you have a sign on your building, just in case the sign falls down. If I was a small business person, I'd want insurance. And the cost is minimal for their liability insurance, because what if somebody tripped over the sign or fell over it? They want to make sure that they have liability insurance to cover any injuries. So it's just something that we normally do. And quite honestly, if I was one of these small business people, I'd want to have that liability insurance in effect to protect anybody walking down the street.
Thank you for that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All set. We will move on to reports, subcommittee reports. We have two subcommittee reports tonight. One, Neighborhood Subcommittee that was held on December 11th. Chairman Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Thursday, we had a neighborhood subcommittee meeting. Present were myself, Councilor Mercia, Councilor Samaras. Also present were yourself, the mayor, Councilor Belanger, Mike McGovern, Eric Slagle, Etta Medtrek, Michael Damaris from Neighborhood Services. And we had a number of neighborhood leaders, which I'll get to in a minute. First order of business, we met Josh White, Executive Director of the Lowell Transitional Center, Living Center. He gave us an outline of operations and what he does at the center. Mr. White also talked about the winter bed program, noting that no person is turned away, whether they're sober or not. They try to help everybody out during the winter, especially with the cold weather. Mr. White noted the concern of the amount of people that are using the services this year. He's noticed an increase. And he just talked about how they go about serving the people, Lowell, and basically just outlined everything that they do. It was nice to introduce. It was great that we got to meet him and to actually see the work that he's doing. So we had a brief discussion, and Councilor Mercia also noted, talked about the various fundraisers that the center has to promote its programs and the need for funding. And we all realize the important work that they do over there. Second part of the discussion was with the neighborhood leaders. Present were Steve Brogan from the East Pawtucket Neighborhood Group, Susan Purdy from the Downtown Neighborhood Group, John Gear, Belvedere Neighborhood Group, Carol McCarthy, Sacred Heart Neighborhood Group, Anne Marie Page from the Citywide Neighborhood Group. I think I got everybody. Everybody had a few minutes to speak about their what's going on in their neighborhood, specific things that they're working on, shared their concerns, and shared some of the good things that are going on throughout the city and that's happening in their neighborhood. So we had a good discussion for about half an hour or so on that. And Mr. Slagle was also there to answer questions. Some concerns that came up, particularly to the neighborhood, the Highlands neighborhood. We had a discussion on driveway paving, what the criteria was. You do need a permit for paving now. We had discussion on what permits are needed for what projects, and we were gonna see if we can make sure we get that up on the city website so that people can go to that and refer to it and see what they do and do not need permits for. So it was good discussion with the neighborhood groups. The third piece was a discussion about, we started a discussion on the polling locations and the concerns from the neighborhoods. We discussed the last election, some problems that were overcrowding, not enough parking. So that's going to be an ongoing discussion, an ongoing process on trying to pick exactly where we want to have our polling locations, what we're working with the schools, whether or not school be in that day on every election day or not. So we had a brief discussion on that, and that will be continued at another later meeting once we gather some more information on that. So meeting adjourned about 6:45, and that's a report of progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion on the report? Motion to accept the report as a report of progress and place on file by Counselor Kennedy, seconded by Counselor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Second report, Chairman Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. Tonight, we were fortunate to have Dr. Carol Cowan come before us to speak about her programs at Middlesex Community College, and I believe this is probably one of her final acts as president of that college. She talked about the history of Middlesex and how it began in 1970 on the Bedford campus, which is now a 200-acre site. And at this point, there are 7,000 students attending the Bedford campus, 7,000 attending the Lowell campus for credits, and some 10,000 students taking programs, courses at Middlesex. She talked about the Bedford campus with a new building being started. It's a new STEM building to talk about the sciences or teach the sciences, which she's excited about. She talked about Middlesex Community College's start at the Wanalancet Mills, and which a lot of people, as she stated, did not know, started at Lowell General Hospital for their nursing program, which has been received very well by the state. In 1985, Dr. An Wang built the $25 million tower in the downtown, and in 1989, she was able to buy the building for $11 million to start the Lowell campus. They've also moved to Middle Street for the dental clinic, nursing, and health services. In 1999, she talked about starting the Nesbitt House, which has been a great addition to this city. And then how the U.S. Post Office opposite the Wang building is now the library. Talked about the Pollard building being the new Lowell Charter School. And the building that has been questioned by a lot of people as to what is going to happen there is the old Boston and Maine building, or the Rialto building, depending at your time in history, what you understand it to be. But that will be the new academic arts building, including music and dance. This building will start in the spring and finish by the year 2017. She spoke of many programs, and she talked about the many programs that were shared by Middlesex Community College and the Lowell school system. And it's with her diligence and her work and the staff that she had that they created programs that, and I could go on for hours talking about them, but they basically spent over $35 million on our students to ensure that they had a good education. So what we have had in Lowell, we're very fortunate between Dr. Cowan and Chancellor Meehan, we have the opportunity for children to have a seamless education from kindergarten to college. So I appreciate the work of Dr. Cowan, and we were privileged to have her here tonight to talk about the work that her and her staff have done for the city of Lowell. I wish her well, and thank you.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on the report from the subcommittee? Seeing none, entertain a motion to accept as a report of progress and place on file by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. The report is accepted and placed on file. While we're still under reports, if there's no objection, if we could suspend the rules, I just wanted to bring forward a report from the manager, and it's relative to free parking this weekend. Motion to suspend by Council Milonazo, second by Council Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries on. Mr. Manager, did you want to make this announcement regarding the weekend parking in downtown garages?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Again, this weekend there'll be free parking in the downtown garages beginning Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and continuing until Monday morning. There will be event parking at the Leo Roy Garage beginning in the evening on Saturday for that event, but you will be able to park on the surrounding streets. But it's a great opportunity to come downtown and enjoy free parking and shop for the last-minute Christmas gifts.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We'll now move on to Section 9, petitions. We have one claim for property damage. Motion to refer to the Law Department for a report and recommendation by Council Leahy, second by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. That was the only claim. We'll move on to next Section 10, City Council motions. First motion of the evening by Council Martin. Request the city manager have proper department make presentation to the Transportation Subcommittee about planned improvements for the Lord Overpass. Second by Council Kennedy. Council Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, this is just looking for an update. I know there's a recent announcement about funding that's been made available through the state for improvements at the Lord Overpass. I imagine when the Lord Overpass was built many years ago, that was viewed as, the state-of-the-art situation. At the time, I think that view has probably changed now. And I think this is a critical piece of our redevelopment efforts in the Hamilton Canal District. I think we need pedestrian access from the train station. And from what I understand about the state grant, there's some flexibility about local design control. So I don't know if it's people from our own transportation planners or people from the state or some combination, but I think at some point in the new year, it would be helpful for the council to be brought up to date what's been done so far and what opportunities there are for input from the council and members of the public.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Next motion of the evening, again by Council Martin. Request city manager report on efforts undertaken or underway to address the collapsed wall at Prospect and Crosby's Street. Second by Council Leahy. Council Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I know members of the council were provided with photographs. I'm quite familiar with that neighborhood. It's really a devastating situation. I'm not sure what the city can do, but I did hear from at least one attorney this week who was complimentary of the efforts of the building inspector and the building department to date. So what I'm looking for is, we know how many properties are impacted, what the status is, or some shut down. Does there appear to be any sort of help the city can provide? Are we looking at insurance or private remedies? And it's, I kind of grew up in that neighborhood, and I'm very familiar with that section and that wall. And, for people to lose their homes over something like this is pretty devastating. So, again, number one, informational, just how bad is it, how many properties are impacted, and what, if anything, has been done or can we do to help?
Thank you, Council. Council Leahy.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I'm familiar with this too, and I've been over there, and I did want to echo that, I know the building department, especially, Sean Shanahan has been very helpful, and the people that are, unfortunately involved with this have been very complimentary. So, it's just a tough situation, but I just want to mention that they're very pleased with, the help that they're receiving already.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next motion of the evening is a motion by Council Rourke. Request city manager have Lowell Police Department explore feasibility and possible use of Social Sentinel software as a social media monitoring tool. Second by Council Samaras. Council Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought this motion forward as a technology tool in the interest of both schools and community safety. This software is offered by Social Sentinel, and it's a cloud-based social media monitoring platform. And what it does is it monitors publicly posted social media comments for all kinds of potential threats, crimes, or whatever. I've spoken to Superintendent Taylor about this. He does currently have an IT team at the police department that does monitor social media, but it's more of a random type situation. If something happens, they react to a certain incident in a certain location or a certain time frame. This type of software is similar to what I use at where I work for my full-time job, and I have found it to be useful. So I'm just looking for the superintendent to look into it, see if it's of use to the police department. And with the incident that we had last month, Mr. Mayor, maybe you could bring this to the school committee. Maybe they could check it out as well. And again, as a tool that involves technology, hopefully something that can assist the police and being more proactive than reactive. So thank you.
Thank you, Council Rourke. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next two motions of the evening are by myself. I'd ask Council Lee to take the chair.
Next, 10.4, motion by Mayor Elliott, request city manager explore the feasibility of establishing a Veterans Commission. Seconded by Council Rourke. Mayor Elliott.
I believe there's someone registered to
All right.
speak.
John Mitchell.
Good evening. My name is John Mitchell, and I live at 34 Copen Street. As an aside, I'd like to say as I approach City Hall, looking at the festivities outside and how it's been adorned here on the inside, I think you've set a standard in the modern era for welcoming Lowell, all of Lowell, to City Hall. I'd like to congratulate you on the work that you did together as an administration, as in a city council.
Thank you.
Although I am associated to a variety of grassroots organizations, including veterans groups, along with a few social media outlets, tonight I am here to speak with a singular focus, distance from those other aspects of my life. I would like to thank the chair, the council, and the city manager tonight, but particularly my firm appreciation goes to the maker of this timely and important motion, a motion which I lend my full-throated support to. In the early part of 2012, I was asked to contribute to the development of one of Linda King's many efforts, the Keys to Ending Homelessness conference series. This particular conference was dedicated to veterans. In my opinion, the conference was a great success. Workshop panel discussions spoke to a variety of challenges facing today's veterans. The topics included the confusing overlap of federal and state veterans benefits, outreach to homeless veterans who are resistant to housing and other services, post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, how to customize outreach and services for different generations and genders, serving surviving spouses and family members, and best practices in providing housing and comprehensive health and services. I am confident that Ms. King can provide the councilors with more details of what I've noted here and beyond. That conference started me and a few others at the time thinking about forming the very commission that this motion proposes, because during that conference, it was not uncommon to hear the phrase, "I didn't know you did that," or "I didn't even know you existed." At the time, we recognized that in a large gateway city, it was the municipality, via the state-authorized veteran service officer, that could act as the nexus to a dizzying array of services we saw presented. There appeared to be some confusion at the time. Such confusion means that veterans are not being served fully and efficiently. The commission proposed by the maker of the motion can assist the veteran service officer by working to pull all these elements together. Aside from the safety net issues described above, we can never forget that the veterans are obligated to maintain a sacred trust. Certainly, stewardship for each other's well-being is paramount, but there is also a mighty calling to maintaining and reinforcing a sense of patriotism and selfless service to the community. Lowell's veterans have excelled in matters of solemn respects and remembrance. Lowell's veterans have kept faith and allegiance to what some regard in our community as the high holy days. With that acknowledgement of the mission well accomplished, we need to bolster the involvement of veterans from the modern era. We need to bolster the sharing of sacred honors with young veterans, their families, and the youth attending our public and private schools. The proposed commission can partner with the established and respected veteran service organizations to help bring new blood and energy to what has served Lowell so well so far. 2 points of caution. Whatever charter is given to such a commission, it must respect the statutory authority of the city's veteran service officer. The point must be to assist and collaborate. All efforts must be made not to undermine or overwhelm official operations. Second, much of this effort will require a chorus of strategic communications and public cooperation. Veterans are not props to be used to promote those that sponsor the efforts hinted to above. A very delicate balance must be struck. We are compelled to respect a charitable heart. However, there can be no commercializing of that which is sacred. We cannot litter our memorials with logos. We cannot tattoo our monuments with trademarks. I come to you tonight not as an activist or a blogger. I am here as a former member of the Massachusetts National Guard. I am here as an infantry soldier who was privileged to provide military funeral honors in Arlington National Cemetery for 3+ years. I am here as a sentinel who stood in a concrete-hardened system of bunkers which loomed over the truce tables of Panmunjom. That speck of Army grit, by the way, was called, or is called, Guard Post Willette. I am here as a squad leader in the 101st Airborne Division that helped to quickly capture the Iraqi Republican Guard during Operation Desert Storm. Lastly, I am here to help this city serve and honor the most deserving. In that regard, I am hardly alone. Based on what I've experienced in my travels, the city manager will have a small army of veterans and specialized civilians at his disposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Okay. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. First of all, Mr. Mitchell, let me thank you for your service as a veteran to this country. And I think you put it pretty well. I think that's essentially the intent of the motion. In the last 12 months, I have attended countless number of veteran events, and I tell you, it has been nothing short of an honor to preside at these. And regrettably, as time marches on, membership in existing veteran organizations and is shrinking as a result of age, and attrition. But secondly, or most importantly, the concern that came to me during the whole Federal Veterans Administration debacle, if you will, was there really wasn't a central voice, if you will, in the city. We have Hunger Homeless Commission, we have an Immigration Commission. I was lucky enough to sit on the Commission on Disability for 2 years, and knowing there's an organization in place with appropriate representatives from the various parts of the community to have a voice and to have a structure and regular meetings and bring forth issues of importance on behalf of their constituencies. So not to reiterate many of the very good points that have been made by Mr. Mitchell, that's essentially what I have seen, not only a shrinking, but also I think we also need to bring a coordinated effort to the Veterans Council to do more outreach, to reach the younger veterans who are coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq. And what touched me was when I attended the Butler School Veterans event, the Thursday before Veterans Day, there were a number of younger veterans who attended the school. And the reason why they attended, because A, they knew about it, and B, they knew about it because they had young children going to that school, and that's how they learned of it. So I think there are so many opportunities for a commission to come together, and perhaps the mission can be certainly to provide support. And I want to make that as clear as Mr. Mitchell did, to provide support, to provide assistance, to complement the veteran agent as it exists. Not to have a commission to tell him what to do, to give him direction, but to complement in any way possible. So I want my fellow colleagues to realize this is not intended, but at any level, to do nothing but to provide support. But secondly, perhaps I think what would be important is that maybe this commission could provide a report annually to the city council and to the city on the state of veteran affairs, to include health care, homelessness, substance abuse, education, employment, and those services that we are providing and those services that we need to focus on for our veterans. Maybe they can hold one or more public hearings to obtain information from the veterans for such an annual report. So I mean, these are some of the ideas that I think that can help, and I think such an organization can help plan these civic observances that we have, and maybe a little bit more of a coordinated effort. I know on Veterans Day there were a number of events, and members of this city council, of this governing body, we were leaving some events in order to go across the city to do others. So it would be my hope that, especially the recurring events, we have Memorial Day, Independence Day, 9/11, Veterans Pearl Harbor, we have dedication of Veteran Squares, and then we have one-time events. We have coming up on June 17th, this coming year, the 150th anniversary of the Ladd and Whitney Monument dedication. December 7th of the 16th, 2016, we have the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Following year, April 6th, the 100th anniversary of the U.S. entry into World War I, and 2018 is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. So I think that this Veterans Commission, it will provide an assistance to public sharing of veteran stories, provide those related to dedication squares and monuments in the city. And also, I think there are some partnering organizations that we can reach out to. UMass Lowell, this year we attended, Mr. Manager and other members of the council, we attended the ROTC. They have an ROTC, a very active and pretty significant ROTC, and Veterans Affairs Office. We have the Lowell High School Junior ROTC. All of these organizations, I think, can play a role, create an umbrella organization, and provide a better service. I also think Facebook, social media, can be used to complement and get the words out. If we want to get our younger veterans involved that are coming back, what better way to do it than to implement some social engineering and social media aspects. So, I mean, I'm excited. I think the way that we honor and serve our veterans is to ensure that they are getting the proper services that they deserve. So for all these reasons and reasons mentioned, I do think and hope my colleagues will support this. Mr. Manager, if it's supported, you can come back with a recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion? Councilor Samaras?
No, I just want to say that I support the motion that's been brought forth by the mayor. I think when we look at what has happened to, we'll say, World War II veterans and what's happening to our veterans who have been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan and other places in the world, we've seen the problem of delivery of services to many of our veterans, such to the point where in Washington it became a scandal as to what was occurring. And I think this motion to form a Veterans Council will help address those many issues. I think it's timely. I think it's necessary. I want to applaud the mayor for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. All those opposed, ayes have it. Next motion of the night, 10-5, Mayor Elliott, by Mayor Elliott. Request city manager / mayor appoint steering committee of Cambodian activists to work with the city officials to development of monument for Cambodian immigrants. Seconded by Councilor Kennedy. Mayor Elliott.
Thank you. The motion does speak for itself. I do know that a motion has been brought forward in the past from the Laotian community by Councilor Mercier along the same lines. There are, we have, over 37,000 Cambodians in the community. I have been meeting with them and going to events, and they're, they would like, as many other immigrant groups, to place a monument somewhere. Some want to put it in a couple squares. Some are looking perhaps on Branch Street. And there's a lot of ideas on what to do, but how do we put together members from all parts of the community, the CMAA or Cambodia Town and a couple squares. There's many organizations that are interested in doing this and raising private money to do so. So having just met with one organization, I thought it was important to bring forward a motion and perhaps put together a committee rather than to have monuments all over, going all over the city, honor them like we have honored the Portuguese and just recently last year, I think it was the Armenians, as well as the Laotians, and put together a steering committee to pool the resources and to find a suitable location. Come back to the council or to the manager with a recommendation, but involve the entire community in that discussion and that process. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I did speak to the mayor about this very important motion, and like a year or two ago, the Laotian people came to me and asked me if they could put a monument up as well. And at that time, it was referred to the city manager, but it was referred as well to the planning department. And someone in the planning department set out a diagram as to where it could all be laid out. I did have it, and I looked for it. I can't find it. Perhaps if we could dig that out. But I did stress the importance, as I have to the Armenian people, that this is not an expense that the city incurs, just like the Portuguese statue as well. If this respected community wants to build and have a monument, they would be responsible for the cost of that, not the taxpayer. And so far, every group that has their monument downstairs, they paid for it themselves through their own private fundraising efforts, and they did a tremendous job. I know quite recently this summer, we had the Armenian people come forward, and there were tons and hours and days and years of planning for it. So I did stress that to the Laotian people, whom the lady reminded me again the day before Thanksgiving, she rang my bell and said, please don't forget me. So that is a very timely motion, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, ayes have it. So next, I guess we'll just take a motion to adjourn, but before we do that,
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Before we do adjourn, I would just like to make a comment because for the previous 2 weeks in a row, I challenged my colleagues to the donations for the Salvation Army Radiothon that took place last Saturday, the 13th, and I challenged my colleagues as well as the city manager, and I was not surprised to see that when the call was placed, they met the challenge. They truly are public servants, and they're very, very generous, and I want to thank my colleagues for living up to their part of the bargain, and that was really commendable. I'm not surprised, though. I knew that they would. They stepped up to the plate, and they delivered. So thank you very much to each of you for helping out. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, I just want to say this is the last meeting of the year, so Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and take a motion to adjourn by Councilor Kennedy, second by Mayor Elliott. Thank you.